and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I'm pretty good, sir. How are you?
I am well. Good films this week.
Oh.
It's been good films this week, so I'm
Okay.
doing good. I'm curious about how you felt about at least one of, well, two, but one in particular.
Okay.
That I've already watched. I think I've already reviewed. I can't remember. I did watch it though. But anyway, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with Elevation.
Elevation, which I almost watched this, and then I didn't for like the dumbest reason.
Which was?
I was watching Reacher season 3. I was watching those. I was watching those episodes, and then it started auto playing.
Oh.
And I was like, oh no, I can't be bothered to watch this movie. And I stopped it. And then I realized afterwards it's not the movie I thought it was.
Right.
I thought this was Platform 2.
Oh, okay.
And I've already seen Platform 1 and I liked it, but I was like, I don't see a need for a sequel to Platform. What are you going to do? It's the same fucking thing again. So I can't bother to watch this. And then when you sent it to me to put in the slide, I was like, oh, it's an Anthony Mackie movie. It's totally different. So I probably should have watched it, but
Yeah. So, this is, I think it's an Amazon exclusive.
I would assume so because it also played after Reacher.
Yeah. So basically, we've got Anthony Mackie, Miranda Bakarin, Maddie Henson, Danny Boyd Jr. Is the main cast, and we've got directed by George Nolfi. So it's basically set where these creatures have come out from the ground. They're sort of like giant insects that sort of run like cats.
Okay.
And they've pretty much wiped out most of humanity.
Dude, I was just going to say this is giving me Arcadian kind of vibes.
Yeah. They've got some sort of weird flaw in that they stop when they get to a certain height, like mountainous.
Oh, the creatures won't go above a certain height.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forget the specific height, but it's like top of a mountain, basically.
Okay.
They just stop. So humanity is the surviving members of humanity are all living on top of mountains and little communities and stuff. These things are basically bulletproof guns. Bullets just sort of hit them and nothing happens. So they're impossible to kill.
Right.
And we're introduced to our main guy, Anthony Mackie's character of Will, sorry, and his son Hunter, who has some sort of breathing problems.
Okay.
So he has to have this filter when he's sleeping to help him breathe. And basically, it's running out. He's got no filters left, so he's running on empty. So Will has decided that he's going to go make the trek down to Boulder, which is the nearest city, and go into the hospital there and grab a load of filters and get back. He's kind of helped by Katie, who clearly is in love with him, and is coming along for the ride, as it were. And Miranda Bakarin's character Nina, who was a sort of scientist who was working on better car batteries, I think it is, for electric cars.
Right.
When the attack happened.
Mm-hmm. Not much call for them on mountains.
Sorry?
Not much call for them on the mountains.
No. But she's basically trying to... She believes that if they can charge bullets somehow, that they can get through the creature's armors.
Okay, that explains why they're still holding guns on the poster.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest...
I guess it's better than nothing, but...
They use the guns to try and slow the creatures down.
Okay.
Most of the time when they're running, they stop and fire at the creature, and then they run, and you just go.
And now you're closer to the creature than if you just ran.
It's not slowing the fucker down. Just run. So she's basically sort of living on her own and a sort of alcoholic type thing. You clearly they find out later that she's got a family, but clearly it's obvious she had a family that were all dead. Anthony Mackie's character's wife died because she went on a mission that was sort of championed by Bakarin's character, who's like, I had this plan, here you go, here's this thing, but it turned out it didn't work and she died.
Okay.
So there
are some harsh feelings. Yes.
Yeah, there's a tension between them, and the three of them, Katie, Will, and Nina, decide they're going to go down there, and he's got this plan that they can get to a certain point, and then there's a mine, and they can go through the mine to get to Boulder.
Okay.
So that's the plan, and obviously things backfire, and usual sort of stuff. So it's kind of, like you said, Arcadian a bit, Quiet Place.
Mm.
It's, survivors.
I like the idea of them having to stay high. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit odd, but it kind of works for what they're doing.
Yeah.
When the explanation of what they are sort of comes, as it's fine. Mackie's great. Bakarin's great.
I find Anthony Mackie generally is great.
Yeah,
he's not necessarily in good things, but he is a very good actor.
No, he was badly chosen for the second season of oh god, what was it called? Altered Carbon.
I actually really disliked his performance in that.
Yeah,
that might be one of the few times where I actually, because he was meant to be the same person and he played it completely differently.
Yeah,
and that's what annoyed me. I'm like, no, you've misunderstood the entire point of this. Like, he's meant to be the same person in a different body, and now he's acting completely differently to the way he acted in season 1.
That was the only time I've ever thought, okay, this was bad.
Yeah.
Most of the time, even I like him as Falcon.
He's great. Yeah.
I'm not touching the new Captain America movie with the barge pole, so that can stay with all.
I have no interest in Marvel, but yeah. But very good all the same. He's very good.
Yeah, he's good in this. It's there's some nice little set pieces. I like the creature designs. There's these sort of many-legged sort of cat insects.
They sound in your description of them is intriguing me, I must admit.
Yeah, they're kind of cool. They sort of leap around like cats do, big cats
or spiders, I guess.
But they're insects. There's sort of some nice little sort of tension bits between the people, and you're not really getting anything fantastic. It's not Quiet Place, and Quiet Place has its flaws, but I love Quiet Place. So
it's another Bird Box and that kind of stuff.
It's a sort of average, sort of survival. Earth is fucked.
Sure.
Creatures exist and stuff like that. I quite enjoyed it. It's a nice, distraction. It's not going to tax your brain. It's not going to it's not going to wow you, but it is entertaining. The leads are good enough. There was one bit that made me laugh. Right, they've got, when you first introduced to Bakarin's character, she's got some sort of machine and she's doing something with the bullets, and she takes this bullet out and she puts it in a magazine and she puts it in the gun. However, she puts the bullet in backwards and then inserts it into the thing, and I was like, how did they not notice that she did that? It's like it's obvious. You can clearly see the curve of the magazine is going the wrong way. She put the
wait. She did it in character. Did that, or
I don't think it's supposed to be in character. I think. It's just a mistake.
That's a pretty big mistake,
and it's really obvious when it's like, no, you just put that in the wrong way round. That's fucking weird. But yeah, no, it's completely.
It's really weird that they would have shot that and no one picked up on it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
There we go. But other than that, it's fine.
Mm.
Yeah, the little kid actor's all right. What's nice is it's filmed on location, so we don't get a lot of blue screen bullshit. So there's, you get real nice sort of mountain views and stuff like that, and some like nice little chases and things. Yeah, it's just a very sort of average movie that's pretty well put together with some good actors.
Yeah,
so
it looks interesting.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. It's just it's just a nice little middle of the road.
And that's fine, man. That's fine. Well, we keep coming. I feel like we keep circling back to this point, but direct to DVD and direct to video used to be a really fun market, and there used to be a lot of average movies in there that were fine. And now everything's on streaming. I think there's this expectation that every film must be like AAA. And it's like, no, there's a middle ground for stuff like this. This is fine. It sounds fine to me. I always struggle now. Like, I think the older I get and the worse the world gets. When it's like, oh, it's post-apocalypse. Like, as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, cool. Now I'm like, why are you still alive? It's fucking miserable. Like, don't bother. Your wife's dead. Just go. If you got kids or something, maybe. But I'm like, oh god.
I mean,
just end it. You're on a mountain. Jump.
I mean, I think Arcadian dealt with that better.
Yeah, it did, but there were kids involved.
Yeah,
it made sense.
It was that movie was. I would say that was better than this.
Okay, I really liked Arcadian. Arcadian was the movie I did not expect to think was any good, and I actually quite enjoyed that movie.
It was, blinking you'll miss him.
Nick Cage, yeah. But the other characters were actually pretty good and capable.
But I did. I like the kids. They were actually quite interesting. There was an interesting dynamic between them.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh well, I will certainly check this one out.
Yeah, it's worth it. Honestly, it's just a fun little sci-fi movie with some pretty good performances. I liked it.
Awesome. Okay, I will go first with Exhuma, 2024 South Korean horror film, directed by, here we go with name butchery, Jang Ji-hyun is the director, and it stars old boy Choi Min-sik, who is playing a geomancer, which I have decided is my favorite job title ever.
Yeah, I love geomancer. Geomancer's great.
That is such a cool job title. I want it. So effectively, what we have here is a film in which we have a group of people that go around and where there are spirits that have people that have died and their spirits are angry and vengeful, it's their job to exhume them and move them to a different location. And as part of this, they do all of these kind of ceremonies, and the idea being that you pacify the spirit, and then the hauntings or the bad things stop. And this group are kind of brought in by this rich family. Their child is sick and in hospital, newborn child, and they believe it is the work of this spirit, and so they're brought in to exhume and move the grandfather of the family, who has been buried in this remote region. He's been buried up on this kind of hillside mountainous terrain, in the middle of nowhere, which the geomancer man is like, this is weird, I don't like it, we shouldn't do this. This is a bad idea, because this gravesite, I know all of the gravesites in South Korea. I'm aware of pretty much everywhere. I've never heard of this place. This is a bad omen. This is just a bad place. This is terrible. There's no good gonna come of this. But the others basically are like, we'll get to it in a minute. One of the things I really love about this, though, is the group of people are awesome. Like the exhumers, they're really cool. And the shaman, I think it's the shaman, Kim Go-eun. Yeah, she's great. She's basically just like, oh well, I will she like in front of the customers, she's like, yeah, oh my god, your kid's in danger, we need to sort this out. And then in private, they're all just like, there's a lot of money, we should do this for the money. We should totally do this for the money. And so they basically talk him into it, even though he has his suspicions that this is not good. They get up to the gravesite and find there's a lot of foxes hanging around, and the movie explains what those all mean and what that's for. And he discovers the grave is also unmarked, which is further concern. But there's a child at stake, so of course we exhume, and they exhumed the coffin. But then it starts raining after they've exhumed it, so they take it to a nearby hospital, because something to do with the spirits won't rest properly if they're buried when it's raining, so they have to move them and leave them until the rain stops.
Jesus Christ, that sucks for every movie burial that's in existence.
In Western, it's always raining. What are you talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I think I can only assume in my ignorance that a lot of this is based on Korean folklore, mythology, and spirituality. Yeah, I don't know, but maybe it's just when it's vengeful spirits that it's a bad idea. But in any case, as you can probably guess, some asshole opens the fucking coffin.
Of course.
Because one of the things they do say is that one of the reasons that the grave was unmarked is that it was a very wealthy family, and they were said to have been buried with riches. So they were trying to hide it. This is their reasoning for why it was unmarked, is that they were hiding it from people that were looking to open the coffin to get whatever valuables are inside. In any case, then obviously from there the vengeful spirit is free and goes about terrorizing and killing not only the family but also then the gang. There's the Scooby Gang, the South Korean Scooby Gang.
Do they have a dog?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
No, but they are, it's like 4 people going around doing ghosty stuff. So I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's superbly shot. I think all of the primary cast are superb, and their believable friendship and their personalities really got me through this movie. I really enjoyed them, and I'd love to have seen I would have liked to have seen them just going around doing spooky things. Could be a TV show of these guys going around doing spooky things. The second half, it's weird. This film feels almost like 2 movies.
Okay.
It works. It does work, but the first part is the first half of the film is really, really fucking good. It's super tight. It's really well directed, really well made. The second half is good, but it's not as good, and it feels almost like a slightly different movie. In fact, there's a time jump, and it's at that point that it almost becomes a different film. I really like the other movie. The second half it's just not as good and is not as tight as that first half. The second half kind of goes, the first half is kind of got that very creepy, tense vibe to it. Something in the shadows, reflections, that kind of stuff. And the second half is just like, fuck it, monster. Here's the fucking demon. It kind of goes way out there. But very cool all the same. I just think, if it had kept going the way the first half was, it would have been phenomenal. As it is, it's very good. I very, very much enjoyed this movie. Particularly Choi Min-sik's character. His feng shui geomancer character. Yeah. He's great. He's great in most things he turns up in, but he's superb in this. So
I must admit, I've not heard of this one.
Yeah, it's been on my list for a little while, and Ben watched it earlier this week, and he was like, "Oh, you should watch Exhuma." And I was like, "Dude, I started watching that." And you know when you start watching something and then you get distracted for some reason and you just don't go back to it?
Yeah.
That's basically what happened with this. I think it was just before Christmas, or over that period. And but I didn't stop for any particular reason, and I always meant to go back to it. I just hadn't. So I finally did, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. So I would definitely recommend it. I do think it's slightly uneven. The second half kind of feels a bit different, but I enjoyed it. They went there. There's certainly payoff. I know a lot of people don't like the more tight, nuanced kind of considered horror stuff. They like the gore monster stuff, so you get both. Effectively, you effectively get both. So yeah, very enjoyable though.
Okay,
so definitely recommend Exhuma.
Definitely give that a go.
I'd be curious to see what you think of it.
Interesting you say it's this film of two halves, because
it feels like it's two halves, because the second half just feels quite different from the first part. I don't want to go into spoilers, but the first half is like reflections in the window, knocking at the door, knocking at the window, let me in, pretending to be someone else, and then they see it in the background. There's things moving in the background.
Sort of ghost stuff, that sort of...
Yeah. The second half is like medieval demon in full armor trying to murder people.
Okay.
It just fucking goes there. And it's awesome. It just feels quite different from the first half. But I had a blast watching it, and I really, really do recommend it. I think it's a little long. They could probably cut a few bits out. But it was very fun. I really enjoyed it. I think it might be like the highest earning movie in South Korea last year. So
okay.
I think it did very well. There may be another.
Well, if it's I imagine they probably will. So you will get your wish and see them again, I guess.
Maybe. But yeah, I definitely recommend it.
Well, two of the movies I've watched feel very much like they're two movies, as it were. One definitely, and the other one sort of it's just the way the movie unfolds.
Yeah.
Which should I go for? I will go for. Let's go for Anora.
Anora.
So basically somebody told me to watch this because they thought I would enjoy it. They, go with it. It's getting real, plaudits. It's getting awards and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
A little apprehensive, but I thought, what? The main actress I've seen it before.
I don't know if I have seen her before.
Mikey Madison. So she played the oldest daughter in a series called Better Things, which I really loved for the first
I haven't seen it, so maybe I haven't.
It's really good. It started really good. I stopped watching it towards the end because I was getting a little too meh. But she's really good. So we are introduced to her character Annie, and she is a exotic dancer and sex worker.
Mm-hmm.
And we're introduced to her, and she's fun, and she's clearly good at her job. She's basically the boss comes in one day and says, "Hey, you speak Russian. There's this Russian kiddie out there, Russian party. They want someone who can speak Russian. Go do your job." So she goes out. She talks to this young kiddie. Excuse me. Called, it's not Igor, it's Ivan, or Van, and he's a typical sort of rich kid, spoiled, loads of money, but they have fun. First of all, she says,
even from the screenshot I've got here, he's wearing sunglasses inside, which tells me everything I need to
know. So she says, I don't want to speak Russision. And he's like, "Why don't you want to speak Russian?" She says, "Well, I understand Russision. I'm okay with you speaking Russian to me, but my Russian is very bad." It's and he sort of makes fun of her, but she sort of they sort of go with it. It's fine. So from there, you get this sort of almost like the first half of the movie is them swanning around, partying, and being because he hires her for one night, and then they get sort of kind of attached, and he hires her for a week. So he says, I'll pay you like 10 grand for a week, and she says like 20, and it comes like 15, blah blah blah. Anyway, so she agrees. She comes and stays with him they go all over the place. They end up in Vegas. He proposes. She says yes. The next thing you know, he has two sort of keepers that are, I think they're Armenian. Two Armenian that his father has hired to basically keep him out of trouble. Only this time they've kind of fucked it. They haven't been, paying that much attention. So the main guy, he's at, I think it's like his grandchild's christening, I think it is. He gets this call saying, "Hey, your ward, as it were, is he's got married to a prostitute." And he's like, no, don't be silly. It's just a rumor. I've heard it before. It's rubbish. It's fine. Of course, he keeps getting these messages saying, "Hey, your ward has married a prostitute." He's like, "Fuck." Or like he gets a phone call from the dad, and it's like, oh no, from the mother. Sorry,
right.
The mother is like, "Okay, I'll go and sort this out." So he gets his like two dudes that go with him to sort of to sort this out.
Mm.
So when they get to the kiddie's house, obviously it's not the kid's house, it's where it's the dad's house. But they're like, "What the fuck's going on?" The kid panics and runs off, just leaves her there and runs off. So what then unfolds is like it all spirals out a little bit. He tells this Igor to make sure she doesn't leave the house. So she like goes mental and she hits one of them in the face and starts chucking things. So they tie her up with a phone cable. And the guy comes back. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "You told me to keep her here." He's like, "I didn't tell you to fucking tie her up." This movie's got a real dark streak into it.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It's like this movie is basically it's like Pretty Woman if it was realistic.
Okay, yeah.
And it, there's no sort of charming like happiness in this movie. It's got a real dark streak to it. And then so the first sort of half of the movie you get this them how the other half lives. Them swanning around doing stuff and partying and all that sort of stuff. The next part is mostly them running around town trying to find the kid.
Right. So
it's these sort of Armenians and this woman, they're driving around, going into clubs, and it's quite weird because it almost like nothing happens. It's just following them around, and him saying, "You're gonna we're gonna get to we got a judge, our lawyer's gonna annul the marriage." He's like, no, he loves me, we're together, blah blah blah, and all that sort of stuff. So you get these, these real sort of like lovely little moments, but it becomes an entirely different movie, really. And you get the character of Igor, who is clearly a low level sort of, bit of a thug, but he's amused by all this. He's but he keeps seeing this sort of the way that they're talking to her and stuff, and the way that he knows what's coming. He's clearly dealt with rich Russians and things, so he knows what's coming, and she doesn't. And you can see that he knows what's happening and what's coming, and he kind of helps her in little ways of
right.
Sort of, throughout the movie, and he sort of when the parents turn up and the mother is utterly horrible, and the way she talks to her and stuff, she's a real bitch. She's just kind of what you expect. I really love this movie. It's really fucking good.
Your friend was right.
It is not. Yeah, it's not going to be for everybody.
No.
There's quite a lot of nudity. She's not shy. So there's a lot of sex scenes and things like that, which will put
if that's not your bag, yeah.
But it's it shows what they do. It shows what she's like. And I thought it handled the sex workers really well. It didn't show them as like victims or bad people or anything like that. It just showed them as working people.
Yeah.
you know, and it showed the massive gulf between
classes.
Yeah, between classes, and I think it handled it really well. She was phenomenal. I absolutely loved her character. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of the off-duty stuff, like with her sister and things.
Right. Yeah.
Just to get a little bit more of her character, which would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
But she's, you know, you get enough. You know that she's really a sweet kid, and she helps people out with it. You know, her fellow things, and she's got a rivalry with this redheaded dancer, and you know, there's fallout there, and
yeah,
there's some really nice little bits of dialogue, and there's some lovely little sort of moments that are just brilliant. And the end is, oh man, if you're not kicked in the kidneys by the end, then there's something wrong with you. There's a real sort of moment where I think that I'm not going to spoil it, but I think she does the only thing that she thinks she can do in a it's going to sound weird without explaining context, but there's this moment between two of the characters, and I think she does the only thing she thinks she can do, and it sort of not exactly blows up, but it's not right, but you can see why she did it.
Yeah,
and it's sort of, it's both sweet and heartbreaking, and one, I just loved the ending. I thought it was such a great ending, and the you know, she's great. The guy Yura Borisov, who plays Igor, he was great. He just sort of said, he's like mostly stood in the background, sort of watching things unfold and smiling and sort of
right, yeah,
doing things here and there, and he's just great when he turns up. The kid, he's, you know, great. What he is, it's Marco. That's how you do pronounce that. Edelsethian. He's greatly punchable as the, you know, he's
as you want. Yeah,
he's the spoilt rich prick who clearly hasn't grown up. His parents do everything for him. He's got this entourage that looks after him, and you know, he's never had responsibility, and now he's married, and he's can't cope, and he's done a runner. It's really good.
I'm so glad.
It's like I said, it's like a bleak, pretty woman. Is how I would describe it. It's everything a Pretty Woman is, but just miserable and not fun in a different way. It's funny in a heartbreaking way, and I really loved it. I'd recommend it to anybody who wants to see a sort of almost like a romance movie that's not really a romance movie. You know what I mean? It's a sort of more almost like a slice of life movie. It's a sort of
which is great.
And you know how this woman naively gets attached to a rich person, and is really good, beautifully filmed, all, you know, great characters. I highly recommend it.
Fun in a different way. I'm going to have to remember that. I quite often say that about films, and afterwards I'm like, that was the wrong word. You know? Yeah. Like, I'll say a horror film was fun, and I'm like, oh, that was probably... Like, you know, it's not funny. It's not... You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it's horrific, but I had fun. I can't,
this
you know...
movie, it's not a funny comedy. It's not...
No,
you know,
but you had fun watching it.
Funny because of the situation.
The circumstance,
and how it is, you know, but I think you do need a dark sense of humor to appreciate it.
Yes, yeah. Well, another film that's definitely not funny is a film I've been very excited to watch. The Return. Directed by Uberto Pasolini. Based on The Odyssey. Starring Ralph Fiennes, Juliette Binoche, and Charlie Plummer. I think I sent you the trailer for this a while back.
I'm annoyingly, I'm getting it. I haven't got it yet.
Okay, well, this will be great because I would love to hear what you think of it
for the next show.
Next show, we can talk a little more about it then. This is the story of Odysseus. He's the boy that made the Trojan horse. During the Trojan War, he returns to his home after to his home island, Ithaca, after 20 years of fighting in the war, and then kind of being mentally scarred and broken afterwards. Effectively, he's come home to find his wife, who has been faithful during this period of time, has refused the numerous suitors that now plague the halls of and the courtyard of the estate on the island. They're all waiting for her to basically admit that Odysseus is clearly dead. He's been gone for 20 years. Get over it and get with me. Effectively all wanting her wealth. It's the only reason they're there. They're all total pieces of shit. They're all backstabby in their own numerous different ways. Some of them are very overly aggressive. Some of them are much more sneaky and, I'm your best friend kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Odysseus turns up, washes up naked onto the shores of his island, and is taken in by one of the villagers there. This movie is fucking great. I loved this movie. I felt like I was going to from the trailer, but I was
trailer.
Yeah, but I was prepared to be disappointed, just in case. You never know. It's quite a low budget movie by Hollywood standards. Anyway, it's $899,000. So that's not an awful lot, especially when you're hiring the likes of Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Binoche. The cast, goes without saying, are incredible in this film. Both Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Binoche are just super.
They've worked together 3 times.
Yes, and every time it's been great.
Yeah.
And here it's no different. They don't share an awful lot of scenes, in the movie.
I don't imagine they do.
No, but the scenes they do share are superb, and the scenes where they are apart are equally superb. Ralph Fiennes is fucking.
It's Ralph Fiennes.
He is. Yeah, I know, it's so redundant, isn't it? Being like, Ralph Fiennes is great in this movie. Well, what movie isn't he great in?
Yeah.
His portrayal of Odysseus, though, I thought was superb as this broken man, who, at one point even says, he's like, look, I disappeared because how the fuck could I come back to this island and tell the villagers of this island that all of the men who went out with me are all dead and I'm here, and he talks about how the war has just changed him so much. He wasn't even sure that she would love him anymore, that she would want him anymore, because he's been changed by this war. There's a particular scene, which I'm sure you will get to when you watch it, involving his dog, which is low-hanging fruit. It's an animal, but yes, I did well up. It was like, oh god, this is it's a very powerful, well-acted movie. Action film, this is not. And anyone thinking that it is going to be bitterly disappointed.
I mean, I didn't get that from the
trailer. Nor did I, but people get
there's
things.
There's certainly an action scene in it.
Of course, there is some action, very little. But people get different things from trailers, and it's not an action film at all. It's a character study, and a terrific character study. Of both characters, both Penelope and Odysseus. And we see both sides. Her kind of waiting all of these years, hoping that her husband is alive. Almost a false hope with her son or their son, telling her like he's dead. Like, and then he thinks either he makes up or he thinks that he heard about him and that he's living on a different island with someone else and that she should just give up. And her kind of stoicism in the face of that and the numerous suitors, they're all, sleazy, slimy fucks. And then Odysseus is superb as well. But all of the cast really, even the kind of side characters in this are superb. Charlie Plummer, I thought was great as their son, Telemachus. Is it Telemachus?
Telemachus.
Telemachus. Thank you. Wonderful. I absolutely loved this film. It's a slow burn character study. I thought it was, I really wouldn't change anything, to be honest. I absolutely loved it.
Hey.
It was everything I wanted.
Yeah.
I appreciate fans of Troy, the movie Troy, probably not going to like this movie. You know, because Troy is what Troy is. But
I love Troy.
Oh, I love Troy too, but you know, this is not that.
But I think Troy does a great job of showing the sort of heroics of that story, the sort of larger than life characters.
No, I agree.
You know, and that's.
I rewatched Troy. I rewatched Troy not so long ago, and I was like, yeah, this is all right. You know, it's not amazing, but it's fine.
What's bloody hell.
I always remember it. I always remember when that movie came out.
Yeah.
My boss at the time was like big into film. We used to talk about films every now and again. And he said, "Oh, I watched Troy on the weekend." I was like, "Oh, what did you think of it?" And he was like, "Well, it was a bit like Brad Pitt superstar." And I was like, he's playing fucking Achilles. Like, what do you want?
Honestly, Brad Pitt is one of those actors that I kind of love and hate.
Yeah.
It's great in some roles.
Yes, I agree. He's perfect as Achilles. He's fucking perfect.
He's perfect as Achilles.
Yes.
He's exactly how I would imagine, you know, Achilles to look.
And he's got the arrogance of Achilles. He's got everything. Totally agree.
So, you know, the funny thing. Well, no, I'll talk about that in a minute. But my story about Troy is. So when we went to see this Troy in the cinema, my wife can't whisper.
Oh.
So
does she do that thing that people do? I love it when people do that. That they whisper at full volume. I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Right.
It's so funny.
So we're in Troy. We're watching Troy, and Orlando Bloom as Paris gets his bow.
Uh-huh.
And my wife leans over to me and she whispers
at full volume.
At least we know he can use a bow. To which the entire audience turn around and look at us. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
She wasn't wrong.
No, she's not wrong. But it was incredibly embarrassing, and bless her, she still can't whisper. But
do you know, I remember someone in my office that used to do that, and it was hilarious. Because she'd be like gossiping, but it's like you realize you're talking at full volume. Like literally everybody can hear you. What are you doing? It's like a weird, like they just can't help it. It's just strange. But yeah, that is funny. No, I enjoyed Troy. I'm just saying this is obviously not that kind of a movie. It's much more introspective.
The trailer shows that this looks much more like a character study and more of a.
And it is, and it's a superb character study. I think people just need to go in with that knowledge.
Yeah,
I think it's incredibly well shot. It's it's one of those things where it's like it's a beautiful island. It's a beautiful location. A lot of shots are going to look beautiful anyway. Yeah. But there is something to be said for shot composition and all of that. And I think it looks wonderful. The acting is stellar across the board. It feels really fucking redundant saying that these two are superb actors. Obviously they are. But superb movie. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to hear what you think of it. I loved it.
So I was going to leave this to the end because usually we do the other business.
Oh no, I know, because I saw this news. But I saw this news just now, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I only just watched The Return.
The Odyssey.
Yeah, I didn't know that was being made.
So they dropped. Yeah, I thought we talked about it.
Oh, before. you know my memory.
But they dropped a picture of Matt Damon as Odysseus.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I don't think Matt Damon suits period pieces. I can't see him as, even in all that get up, all I see is Matt Damon.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's just me being mean.
No, I get, no, you're right. He kind of is. I don't know, maybe that was the Team America joke. Maybe that was the reason for it. I don't know. Maybe all these years later we're like, oh yeah, I understand now. No, you're right. I'm totally willing to give it a go. I hope there's no fucking out of sequence bullshit.
Well, this is the thing.
It's gonna have some stupid fucking gimmick.
That, isn't he? So
he'll have some shit gimmick, but hopefully he'll just make a traditional movie like he used to, which were stellar, and give us a great Odyssey.
I mean, because the thing that when they initially announced the cast, I think people thought Tom Holland was probably going to be Odysseus.
Tom Holland? Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So I don't know whether they're going to do
a young and old
thing. Yeah,
that would make more sense.
I mean, the cast is great. You got Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Zendaya. I mean, sure.
Zendaya is great in the right role.
Sorry.
I think Zendaya is great in the right role.
I'm yet to see her in anything that makes me go, "Oh, yeah,
okay, fair enough." But I take it back. I liked her in June.
I hated what they did.
I know. Yeah.
So,
okay.
That's not really her. I don't think that. I don't blame her for that. I think that was they did what they did as a decision. I don't think that's her. It wasn't her decision.
I never liked her Mary Jane Watson. I will say.
No, I didn't. Well, she wasn't Mary Jane Watson.
Or whoever she was. She annoyed me in that movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Who was she?
Yes, we've also got Elliot Page, Anne Hathaway, John Bernthal, Charlize Theron. So it's a
hell of a cast.
It's a hell of a cast.
Who did you play in that?
You said, hopefully Christopher Nolan will pare back on the step.
I hope so, because his movies are so good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Michelle Jones, she's called in that. I think because she was called MJ the whole time, I assumed that it was Mary Jane. So it wasn't Mary Jane. Okay.
No, she wasn't Mary Jane.
Okay, I didn't know that. Anyway, no, the cast is superb. So if Nolan can go back and...
I'm sure Matt Damon's going to be good, because Matt Damon is a good actor. I'm not saying he's not good.
Oh, no,
I just
totally.
don't think he suits... Which is the funny thing is I think Brad Pitt kind of suffers from that a bit as well. However, as Apollo, he worked...
As Achilles.
Achilles, sorry. As Achilles, I think he kind of worked in that.
Yeah.
I think there's some actors that just don't look right in.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I can kind of get that.
The Chinese one, is it The Wall?
Oh, I've never watched that. The Great Wall. That looks awful.
Yeah, he doesn't look right in that either.
I've never seen that. I saw the poster and I was like, no. You know when a poster just screams, "Don't watch this movie"?
Yeah,
that's kind of what that poster did for me.
It's terrible, but kind of enjoyable.
Okay, I can get with that.
Yeah, it's bad, but bad in a good way.
Bad, but entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm completely on board with this Odyssey. I think we did discuss it before, and I think
I'm sure we did.
You said it would be nice to see a few more sort of of this sort of period piece, a bit
absolutely,
more sort of stuff, or if they're done well. And I do trust Nolan, even though he's
he's a superb director.
Had some not so great movies, I think, but
I just find him frustrating. I mean, Tenet was crap. Let's just be. I will say that. I will say that outright. I thought Tenet was crap. Dunkirk, I thought would have been a superb movie if he had just done it in sequence. It would have been great.
Dunkirk was a fucking amazing movie that did not need the fucking time.
But then you go further back, and I'm like, the Prestige, I think, is superb.
Prestige is a fucking phenomenal
Memento,
movie.
I like. I know it. Memento's a weird one that's getting a lot of criticism these days. I still like Memento.
They've turned their back on Memento.
Yeah, I still like it. I think it's great.
Kind of pisses me off because I still think it's my favourite Nolan movie.
Me too. And I liked his Dark Knight stuff. I know you weren't such a fan.
No, I'm not big on the Dark Knight. I think that's kind of where it
went off for you. Yeah.
He loses me a bit with his Batman, but apart from that,
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I highly, highly recommend The Return. So I will be very interested to see what your thoughts are next week, or week after next, because we'll be doing a different movie next week. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think of it. So what else have you watched?
So I'm gonna do the Broken Rage.
It's time for you to fuck up some names.
So this is it's a Speak Takeshi movie.
Yeah.
Takeshi Kitano. who I fucking love. I absolutely.
Me too.
Have you seen many Beat Takeshi movies?
Yeah.
Sonatine and those great. So this is one of the things that I think a lot of people who watch those sort of movies don't know about Beat Takeshi, in that he was also he's a comedian.
Yeah.
He was in a sort of a double act, and they, real sort of silly stuff, real sort of sometimes verging on Python-esque comedy. So he's I think he's 78 now. So he's getting up there, and so his movie, it's quite short. It's only like an hour long.
Okay.
So he's Nezumi, who is a hitman.
Right.
And every day, or seemingly every day, he goes to this cafe. He gets this letter from M telling him his next target, and then he goes off and he kills that target, and then back gets the money. So then, what happens is he's arrested. He's two coppers. One of them played by Tadana. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, don't worry. I did it earlier. It's your turn.
Asano, who is fucking amazing in Shogun. He was my favorite character in Shogun. And now Amori, play these two detectives who arrest him, and basically after interrogating him with fists, as it were. They say, we've got you on murder, you're a murderer, but if you go undercover for us and infiltrate this Yakuza gang, we will give you a new identity. And
he played Ichi the Killer. Yeah,
he played Ichi the Killer. Yeah, it's like you.
I could recognize his face, and I was like, "Where have I seen you?"
It's really funny, isn't it? Because he's like, he's like in his 50s now, and
yeah.
You can just sort of see Ichi, can't you? It's really funny. So yeah, he's basically told, infiltrate this gang. So he goes into this thing. He starts a fight, and he then becomes the bodyguard of this this Yakuza boss.
Sure.
Right. So this is where it gets a bit funny. So this movie, this up until this point, it's a sort of over the top, sort of almost stayed Yakuza movie. It's like someone jumps out, he immediately pulls his gun out and shoots them, and they're like, "What did you do that for?" It's like, "Oh, check his hand." It's silly Yakuza movie. It's like, but it's so po-faced. It's that sort of, which kind of reflects on some of his movies. He's the best, right? So you get there, and then the second half of the movie goes completely batshit and starts again from the beginning. Only this time, our assassin falls over all the time. He walks into doors. He drops things. Chairs collapse on him. When he's interrogated by the police, he's not being interrogated. They're doing terrible things, like they're doing the bishop thing with the knife in the fingers.
Oh yeah.
By finger fillet. They're doing that, and it's like, isn't this scary? Isn't this scary? He's going, no, don't do that, don't do that. And it's like, then they get on a bed of nails, and it's like, this is fucking weird. It is so fucking over the top and weird. I was sort of.
It sounds funny though.
I was watching it in sort of weird horror, because you're sort of like, it sort of works and it doesn't. You're sort of sat there going, I don't get what's going on, and then something funny will happen, and you're like, oh, okay, that was actually really funny. But then it's like, oh, is
it lost in translation, or is it just?
No, it's just literally it's from what I think, my interpretation is that he's kind of done this as a sort of like, these are the two things I'm famous for, and I'm going to kind of put them in one movie.
Sure.
and kind of
and be damned if it makes no sense.
And kind of just take us. I mean, there's a bit halfway through where they literally the screen goes black and it says what does it say? I can't remember what he says, but it's like you then get like text messages scrolling up like, is this part of the movie? Is this joke working? And it's like, oh, this is so fucking out there. It's weirdly well, I thought it was weirdly brilliant. It's just so fucking wackadoodle. And then it sort of ends and sort of starts again but doesn't.
Huh.
Like, okay. And I think it's just him going, you know what, I just want to have a laugh. And
why not?
Make it the sort of kind of make fun of the two things I'm famous for.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I don't. I think if you appreciate one of his humor, and if you appreciate his acting, then fine. You'll be fine. If you get Japanese humor, because Japanese humor can be quite bawdy and sort of childlike, almost childish at times, then you will definitely appreciate it. If you're a bigger fan of his Yakuza stuff, then maybe not for you, because
it's not that kind of movie. Yeah,
it's kind of taking the piss out of that too. I think it's kind of taking the piss out of the absurdity of those, Yakuza those gangster movies. And I don't think in a disrespectful way. It's just showing the over the top nature of those things and sort of having fun with it. I really loved it in a
bizarre way.
Yeah, in a sort of car crash way. It was a sort of, this shouldn't work but kind of is. And I think it will so that your mileage will really vary on your toleration for it. Because it almost goes full Python at times. It's like people getting out of bags and mistakes being made, and just weird sort of pylons and just utterly weird jokes that, well, I thought were funny. So I would recommend it as a almost as an experience. It's only an hour long, and it's a real sort of, I guess, slice of Japanese humor.
Yeah.
So
I have seen quite a lot of Japanese comedy before, and it can get quite out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If that's not your thing, then run away from this movie because it's not for you. It's but if you like Pete Takeshi and you sort of trust him as a humorist, give it a go.
I will definitely give this a go.
I thought it was hilarious, but
I didn't know it existed, and when I was looking it up to add it to the show, I was like, I really want to see this. I didn't realize this was out. So.
Yeah, no, I didn't. It was one of those. I literally stumbled across it because I was about to watch another movie, and I thought, oh, a new Beat Takeshi movie. Fuck yeah, I'm up for that. And I didn't really know much. I quickly looked into it and had a sort of thing. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, it's certainly something, and I'd recommend it only to, the people that love out there humor.
Yeah, well, that sounds interesting. I'm certainly going to watch it, so I'll give it a go. What else have you watched? I've only watched like 3 episodes of Reacher. That's the only other thing I've got to talk about. I thought it was good. It's I think season 1 is I preferred season 1 to season 2.
Oh, season 1 was fantastic. Season 2 was
okay, not as good. Yeah, this one started off, I was like, what the fuck? And then when they explained what was going on, I was like, okay. And now I'm quite enjoying it. So we'll see how it goes. But season 1 is the high mark for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what else have you watched?
So I have seen Nosferatu. So
do you want to talk about it?
Let's talk about Nosferatu.
We can do that. Nosferatu is a film by Robert Eggers. I've already reviewed this, so I'm curious what you think. I kind of know what you think because we had a brief off air, but yeah, let's do it.
So I have a lot of love for this movie.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Me too.
For the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the weakest of his movies.
I disagree, but yeah. Again, we've had this discussion about Eggers.
Mm-hmm.
What his shittest film? You're like, really?
Yeah.
Compared to everyone else's films,
like,
though, you know. So yeah, no, I get it. It would be between this and The Northman for me, but I think The Northman.
Yeah, I think I prefer The Northman. The Northman held together a little better for me.
I certainly think this is his most conventional film.
Mm-hmm.
I think between this and The Northman, which I understand had a lot of interference, I think I just prefer Eggers when he's doing his own thing and just doing his weird ass fucking lighthouse shit.
Yeah.
Or The Witch, you know. So
I agree.
I'm really excited for his werewolf movie. Like that.
Yeah,
that really intrigues me. Much more than The Labyrinth.
Because of who he is and because of his
totally
movies. That's the only reason why I'm willing to give.
I just want to see him do another fucking weird ass fucking movie, you know.
Yeah. So I loved Nicholas Hoult. I thought he was fucking amazing. I mean, he continues to
really
be amazing,
good.
which, you know, damn the man. I thought Skarsgård was great as Orlok.
Yes.
Willem Dafoe was fine.
He was having fun, Matt. He was having a fucking great time.
And it wasn't bad.
I liked him in that. I felt like the movie needed some scenery chewing at that moment, and it worked. You know.
I loved his introduction. I loved him sat there, you know, mumbling spells to himself when they come in and sort of thing. That was cool. The guy playing Knock, Simon McBurney, he was fucking amazing.
Yes.
I mean, the scenes that he was in were fantastic when he's, you know, etching the sort of the contract out and stuff, and those are fantastic. I mean, it looks amazing. I expected nothing else really, but
yeah.
I mean, there are certain bits that I just thought were so good. The scene with Holt walking up the road when the carriage appears, and then you get him framed in the carriage doorway, and it does that sort of flicker thing where he's, you know, it's like he doesn't remember moving, but he's moved. You know what I mean? That sort of.
Yeah.
And the way they deal with that when he's in Orlok's hall, and you know, Orlok sort of. It's not just like in other movies, like in Bram Stoker's, where Dracula will just appear at the other side of him. It's more that something's happened and he's just blanked it out.
Yeah. And
like, you know, he cuts himself, and Orlok says him to sit down by the fireplace, and he's like, "No, I'm not going." Holt's fucking expression of horror is amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
Really.
And then
good.
he's just sat there. You didn't see him move or anything. He's just sat there. I love the way they did that. It was really beautiful. Lily Rose Depp lost me a little.
Same. Not completely. I think I said during my review there were just a few scenes where I could see her really trying to act.
Yeah.
And it was distracting. But for the most part, I liked her. She was the weakest part.
Some of the contorting was a little too much.
I thought it worked really well when they did it with CGI early on.
Mm.
And then when they did it without CGI later, less so.
Yeah, it was...
Because at the start, they do it with like some CGI stuff going on. And it's like, okay, that worked.
Yeah.
And then later they do it when she's just in the bed and stuff. And it's like, not so much.
And I am fully aware of my bias that I wanted to see Andy Taylor-Joy in that role.
Yeah, me too. But I think this was a great performance anyway. I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think it was. It wasn't a bad performance. It was just sometimes it lost me a little.
Yeah, I think it's because they've wanted to make this movie for so long, and there was that cast in mind that you're like, I really wanted to see that movie with that cast.
Yeah.
So I get that because I kind of feel the same. But I did think, although I thought she was probably the weakest performance in the movie, I did think she was very good anyway.
Yeah,
and I think it's the first film I've seen her in, or the first film I remember seeing her in.
Yeah, I
know she's done some Kevin Smith trash.
I still haven't seen Yoga. Is it Yoga Hosers?
I've seen like a bit of it, and I thought it looked terrible, so I didn't watch it. That's the one with the fucking. Is that like Nazi sausages or some shit? I don't know what the fuck's going on with that movie. I walked in when my housemate was watching it. I was like, no, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going through her stuff. She's been in some sort of TV stuff that I just haven't seen. So I've not actually seen her before, other than in like pictures of her at parties and stuff with people.
Yes.
So yeah, I thought she was fine. Anya Taylor-Johnson sort of lost me a little at times.
I thought he was fantastic once he lost his mind.
Yeah.
I thought when he was playing the aristocrat at the start, I was less convinced. When he finally broke, then I was like, yeah, he's great. But yeah, when he wasn't,
Emma Corrin, however, was fucking amazing.
Who?
Emma Corrin.
Oh my god, yes. So I totally agree. She was superb.
The scene where she loses it.
And it's frustrating as well because nobody seems to be talking about her.
Yeah.
But her performance was superb in this. Yeah, I totally agree.
And I love that the scene where, he goes for the children.
They go there, yeah.
I can tell you, they did it. Jesus Christ.
It's weird because this movie is so like it doesn't feel like he's adapted the silent film Nosferatu. It feels much more like a film from it's like a second Universal horror run, like 30s, 40s. But then there's child murder, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I am watching a really fucking adult movie. Like it's not,
Yeah, it's. I think you're right. It has that sort of that feel to it, but then you've got boobs and blood.
And blood, yeah. And it's like, oh no, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's also the weakest of the. I will say the three.
Oh, I completely agree, but I'm so fucking biased on that one.
That's it. I think.
I adore the Murnau version, and I fucking think that the Herzog version is one of the best remakes ever of any film.
I think those two were both genuine masterpieces.
Yeah, we did a whole fucking thing on both of those movies, and I highly recommend people check it out if you haven't. Yeah.
I think that's the thing is I think he was always on to a slight loser because those movies exist and they're fucking fantastic.
Honestly, if it wasn't Eggers, I don't think I'd even have watched this movie. No. Like that's how strongly I love those two movies.
Nosferatu with
There's been a couple of versions because they were spelt differently in history, like before as well. There've been a lot of Nosferatu movies.
This one with oh god, was it? I think it was like a crowdfunded movie with
Oh really? I don't think I knew about that.
Yeah, with oh for fuck's sake, guy who plays Abe in Doug Jones.
Okay. I could just think of Abe's Odyssey when you said that. It was like the only thing I could think of, and I was like, "Oh no, Hellboy!"
Sorry,
yeah, with
Abe
you.
Sapien from Hellboy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend this movie. It's
100%. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Again, like Ralph Fiennes is a great actor. It's kind of redundant. Robert Eggers being an amazing director is kind of redundant.
Yeah.
But there are some beautiful shots. I mean, the scene in the forest with the carriage arriving and stuff like that, and god, some of these shots are amazing. And I love how he desaturated this to the point of it almost being black and white. Like it's as little color. It's like so barely a color movie that I kind of love it. It's amazing.
They filmed it all in daylight, and they took out the reds and
they took out everything but blue.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they took out the reds and yellows.
The reds and greens, yeah.
Reds and greens, okay. Wonderful. It just.
Oh, it looks amazing, yeah.
So the cast, all the castle stuff's great. It did make me laugh when it's sort of slightly humorous when Hutter goes in and to find Orlok in his coffin, and he gets up, and it's like you see, completely like nude corpse.
Yeah.
And like it did make me laugh when he's like Winky's like full out. It's like, oh, Orlok Winky. Apparently they gave the director gave the prosthetic penis to Nicholas Hoult as a present.
Yeah, you told me that. That's amazing. That's fantastic. If I was Nicholas Hoult, I would have that like on the mantelpiece. That would be like pride of place.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a really nice take on it. I liked the sort of the sort of rotting corpse, Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Really nice sort of take on it. I've got no problems with the way he looked or was portrayed. I mean, I think I said before that there were, and I think the director said he made it so that every pause could be a painting.
Oh, he succeeded.
And there's my favourite would be the end when he's laying over the dead Ellen, and it's hideous and beautiful at the same time. That just looking down at them is just literally that I could just cut that out, put it in a frame, and stick it on the wall because it's beautiful and hideous in the same in the same instance. So I really love this movie. Again, I think it's my least favourite of his movies, but that's not really fucking saying very much.
No.
I had a weird feeling that I was going to hate it. There was something about...
I was pretty sure after seeing it that you wouldn't hate it. I would have been surprised if you'd hated it, because I just felt like, no, I think you will like this. I wasn't sure you'd like it as much as me, but I was pretty sure we weren't doing a men situation here. I was I don't think this is men. I think you will like this a lot. But
I mean, this is great. I love that he made the decision to have the Romanian-speaking Romanians, the Gypsies speak their language, and then to try and rebuild the what's the blood language? Not Thracian. What is it? Dacian language that Orlok speaks, because it's like ancient Romanian sort of thing, and I think they sort of reconstructed it, and it's really cool. Just really, really cool. And there's the scene with where they bring out the Virgin to find the vampire's grave, where they've got the Virgin on horseback, and they're using her to lead them to the vampire's grave. That was awesome, beautiful. And again, I love that whole sort of like he keeps losing time. He keeps because he's woken up and he's like, oh, it was a dream, and you look down and his like feet's covered in mud. Yeah,
that's a great shot. Yeah,
it's fucking Eggers does it again. It's just he's really just proving how fucking good he is, and this has been his plan for years. He's been trying to get this made
since
for a long
The
time.
Witch, I think.
I
want to say it was since The Witch, maybe even before The Witch, I guess. But certainly publicly, I think he kind of announced his intention back after The Witch.
He did a stage version of it when he was in college, I think it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he loves it, and I think that was always one of those things that you think it must be a mistake, because it's like me saying, Blade Runner is my favourite movie. I'm going to remake Blade Runner. I mean, it's not, because I'm not a fucking filmmaker, but you know what I mean? It's like like anybody who says,
I would never want to.
This.
Yeah, I'm going to remake Godzilla. It's like the worst idea ever.
You nutter! Why would you do that? But I think for the most part, he pulls it off.
I think he's just that talented that he can pull it off. But I am very excited to see him go back to doing not adapting. Yeah. I think this werewolf, is it werewolf?
Oh, it sounds fantastic. Yeah, I think it was a 13th century set werewolf.
Sounds amazing. I'm really, really excited for that one. Just for him to be going back and doing his own thing, not adapting anything. And hopefully by this point he'll just be able to do his own thing and not be too not have too much studio involvement. Let him do his weird thing, because that's what I love.
Hope so, but You never know, do you?
You never do know. But yeah, like you, I loved Nosferatu. I think I would put it above The Northman. However, I haven't watched The Northman since I saw it in the cinema, so I may need to give that another go. To kind of see where that shakes out in my mind. Because The Lighthouse and The Witch, I've rewatched many times.
One of the only things that I think is slightly weird about the Norseman is oh, for fuck's sake, Nicole Kidman's face.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
it's so out of place in
it's really awkward.
That movie, but
it's unavoidably awkward and distracting.
The problem is she's got that sort of taunt face now, but she's still a phenomenal actress.
The performance is superb, but
when she sort of...
It's a certain look that you only get with plastic surgery, and when you're setting it in that period, it looks fucking weird. Odd, and it's really distracting.
I mean, when she's trying...
her performance is great in the movie, though. Yeah, really good.
Sort of like trying to almost seduce him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is so uncomfortably gross and fucking greatly performed. It's great. There's so many beautiful things in that movie that I utterly adore.
There's a lot I love about it as well.
Just him going over the wall and stuff in the battle sequence, and there was just some really cool fucking stuff in that just really appealed to me slightly more than I think that. Which sounds weird because of my love of vampire movies, but I honestly think that just slightly tips it for me, the Northman.
Yeah, no, I still
think The Witch is his best movie, but
yeah, The Witch is my favorite, followed by The Lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
Followed by this, then The Northman. But whatever, they're all great movies. So anyway, shall we move on to the one thing you've got left, which I'm sure you did hate, and I feel partially responsible for.
Okay, so I also saw Transformers 1
because I said.
Mm-hmm.
That I understand, because the start of this fucking thing is insufferable, but when it gets to the point, it's like, oh no, okay, you are doing it, and I found I quite enjoyed it. I can't remember if I reviewed it. I think I did.
Honestly, I don't remember whether you reviewed it or not.
I watched it,
talked about it,
and I quite enjoyed it by the end, but I was almost turning it off in the middle. And then it kind of switched, and I was like, no, it was worth it, because the setup did get paid off. And them being insufferable kids at the start did pay off. So overall, I actually quite enjoyed it. But I will admit I was doing housework while it was on, so I wasn't paying 100% attention.
So basically, I watched this because it was like it was on offer on Amazon, and I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I love Transformers. I love old school Transformers, mostly. I'm not full on with all the lore.
No, so me either.
But from what I can gather, there's so many they've
redone it. Yeah.
Anyway, that it's all over the fucking place. I did read the Marvel comics back in the day, the old ones.
Oh yeah, they were great,
which were fucking amazing. So I've got a lot of love for Transformers. I mean, I think we reviewed the series that were on Netflix and things like that. So we've dealt with Transformers up here and there. It was weird
not having Peter Cullen.
Having you voice them was odd.
Yep.
But weirdly, it kind of worked.
It worked for younger them, I think.
You could tell that. Certainly in places that Hemsworth had talked to Cullen, he'd worked with Cullen, and they tried to.
Yes.
And I think it sort of come out a little bit more towards the end, which made more sense.
Yes.
Weirdly, I Brian Tyree Henry as D16. I started off hating it.
Yes, same.
And I was like, oh, this just that. Why does Megatron sound like that? Sorry, he's not Megatron yet. He's D16.
Yeah.
Why does D16 sound like that? It's weird, but it slowly grew on me, and it worked really well for his character, I thought.
Yes, I agree.
I really liked what they did with those two, with
Me too.
Max and D16. I thought it
Me
worked.
too.
And I like the idea that they'd had their cogs removed, or
yeah, it was like a class
they
thing. That was really
they had
cool.
their cogs removed.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were
I really like that.
born that way, and I liked. I mean, I will say, fucking John Hamm as Sentinel Prime is like, oh come on. You know he's gonna be a fucking shit.
Yeah, you know he's gonna be an asshole immediately.
John Hamm fucking voicing him.
He's an insufferable prick from the minute he turns up. To be fair,
he is an insufferable prick from the minute he turns, and and John Hamm does that very well.
Oh yeah, he does it so well.
Lawrence Fishburne as fucking Alpha Trion was great.
Yeah, this is the thing. I
thought it was Keith David at first. It's like, is that Keith David?
Oh yeah, I can kind of see that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing Keith David in this. I was like, oh no, that's Lawrence Fishburne.
It's Scarlett Johansson I quite liked as well actually.
Yeah. Do you know what I hated it? Do you know what I really hated?
I'm not sure.
You almost want to switch it off at times.
What? Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
Bumblebee was so fucking annoying. Right until the end, Bumblebee was fucking annoying.
Why? Why did they make Bumblebee like that?
I know, I agree.
They completely ruined him.
I totally agree.
I mean, Bumblebee's always been the slightly bumbly, slightly,
He's nowhere near as fucking bumbly as they make out, though. When you rewatch the old cartoons, you're like, he wasn't that bad. Like, they've made him out to be...
He's always been like the heart of the Transformers. He's that sort of, at times, the innocent sort of character. They just made him an insufferable prick.
Yeah, I agree.
What? It's like everything's funny. Look at me.
That was the point.
I am.
That was the point at which I was very much considering just turning it off.
Yeah.
Luckily, shortly after they meet him, it kind of turns it around, and I was like, okay, no, I can see where you're going now. This is fine. But he was,
he was utterly insufferable, and I hated that.
Totally agree.
Everything about him. Steve Buscemi as Starscream was funny.
Yeah, I really like the Starscream stuff.
But that was funny. I like that when you got Steve Buscemi's voice, and then he crushes his larynx, and you get proper Starscream speaking, which was funny.
Yeah.
I liked the joke when Elita 1 says to Orion Pax, "You don't have the touch or the power."
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, obvious but funny.
Obvious but funny nonetheless.
Yeah. I liked the animation was great.
Yeah.
I loved the sort of the process of D16 becoming Megatron.
Yeah. I thought they handled that really well, actually.
I did. I loved that. They set him up with this sort of like his love of oh Christ!
It's one of the ancient Transformers.
One of the primes that turned evil. Well, it originally turned evil, but he doesn't in this. He dies.
Yeah, because he gets the sticker, doesn't he?
He gets the sticker, and I liked all that. And when John Hamm tortures him as well and puts the thing on him, it's like, that is so cool. And you get that whole sort of. I think for some people, from what I've seen, they thought that it was too abrupt, and I thought no. I thought his turn was great because he.
No, I think they did a really good job. I actually disagree. Yeah, I actually think they did a really good job of turning him over the course of the movie.
So lucky, and he was real sort of like.
Yeah.
He was the one that was going. No, we should be content with what we are. We should trust that they're doing what's right for us.
Yeah.
And Sentinel Prime is doing his best for us, and we should be supporting him. And then to find out that it's all a fucking lie and all a.
Yeah.
Worse than that, he's violated them.
Yes.
He took out a vital component of their bodies before they came online.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be enough to make anybody pissed off.
Yeah, totally.
It's only because Optimus is who he is that he's the great hero. He has that sort of thing.
And I think it's one of those things as well where like there have been. It's funny because the IMDb page is like the untold story, and it's like, no, this story has been told before. It's a new adaptation of it, and fine. But I do think this adaptation does an excellent job of showing their friendship. Yeah, and I disagree. I genuinely think that the Megatron turn is handled really well in this. I actually totally buy him going from what he is, what he was to what he is by the end. Completely.
I did as well. I thought it was. Really,
and it feels more heartbreaking because Optimus is like actually like we really were close friends. Like, this is,
Yep.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the end bit, because I mean, you could say that the tone shifts quite significantly from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, which is what I was saying to a friend, because a friend of mine was like, "Oh, this is I couldn't get through it," and I was like, "Stick with it," because it is. You realize about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, that the beginning stuff where they were kind of annoying and insufferable is very intentional. And at that point, you're like, "Oh no, actually, this is really genius. This is really good." That you're actually seeing them mature and grow, is coming of age for Transformers.
Yeah.
And the breaking of this friendship, I thought they did it really well, actually.
I did, and I thought he was so good at the end when he totally loses it, and when spoiler if you haven't seen it, when he shoots Optimus, not Optimus, shoots Pax.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck, that was pretty devastating. That was damn. And you can see it in his face at first. He's like, "Oh my god, I've shot my best friend."
Yeah, he has that moment.
It's like, no, I needed this to make me stronger,
to make me who I am. Yeah.
I really like this movie.
Me too. I'm glad you liked it.
Certainly stuff wrong with it, but
yeah,
I really enjoyed it. I would happily watch a second.
Me too. And I will be perfectly honest with you. I thought the trailer looked shit.
Yeah, I did.
And I only watched it because Frank gave it to me as a copy, and I was like, oh, fine. I was literally doing housework. And for the first half, I was like, yeah, it's okay. I was kind of doing housework. Second half, I was like, oh, I'm actually paying attention now. I'm actually like, this is actually kind of gripped me. I really liked it overall. I thought it was fun.
The end was a bit sort of like, oh no, we've now all the we pushed the contestants out. They're gone. Like what? Hey?
Yeah,
what?
Yeah.
It's like no. That's the setup for the next movie. Them fighting the contestants and getting rid of them.
Yeah, it's almost like they just thought, that's it. There's only going to be one. We're never going to do another one of
yeah,
these.
maybe. Because I mean,
there's potential. I would watch a sequel like you. I would.
Yeah, and they did a really good job of making them really fucking menacing when you've got the ships going overhead and them coming out.
Like where the whole like surface is this like barren wasteland, and just you just got like quintessent ships flying over, just eliminating anything that's seen alive outside of the city and stuff. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad. I wasn't sure you would. I thought you'd hate it, but
it was a real fun movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Other than fucking the Bumblebee.
I wish Bumblebee was like a small cameo.
Yeah,
I think that would have been fine. Like, I just did any scene he was in was annoying.
Yeah, he was awful. Fucking terrible.
And the weird thing is that Prime and Megatron are kind of annoying at first, in that childlike way. They're teenagers. They're just idiot teenagers, and that is fine because they grow. But Bumblebee is still a prick at the end of this movie.
Yeah,
just as much as he was when they first meet him. Like, I liked the bit when he was like, he's kind of lost his mind because he's just been stuck on this level with no one else there forever. But after that joke, I wanted him to grow, and he just never did. He was just annoying the whole time.
It's a nice idea if they'd have made it a different...
If we'd seen something of that, you see him grow through the movie, but he really doesn't.
They could have picked a different Transformer and not Bumblebee.
That's true. You could have just made one up.
Yeah, make a new one, or pick one of the lesser known Transformers, maybe. I mean, just don't pick Bumblebee because he's so sort of
beloved,
integral to a lot of Transformers lore. So I mean, I loved that it was on Cybertron. I loved that there were no humans.
Yeah,
that's all wins.
Yeah, totally.
I was completely won over. Actually, I honestly thought.
I was by the end. I was very unsure at first, but I was by the end. Totally.
I was fully expecting to fucking hate it from start to finish, and I did not. I was really surprised.
I'm really glad. I kind of felt the same. Yeah.
I liked just little subtle things, like the way there, mostly with Megatron. Actually, the way Megatron kept evolving. Each he become. I think his first change was the original toy.
Yes,
the gun. The prototype toy.
Yeah.
And then when he gets the full on Megatron helmet and body, it was like, oh, that is so fucking cool. And I think it was what I liked, I think, the most about it is that it felt like it was done with love.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like it was done with love.
It didn't feel like cynical, like I think some of the other cartoons have.
And I thought the trailer made it look like it was going to be cynical.
Yeah.
That was the thing. And then the start of the movie, I was like, oh no, they are going to be cynical.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I was like, oh no, this is intentional. They're actually telling the story, and this is all set up, and that's great. At the point that I realized that, I was like, oh, this is actually really fun. Yeah, cool. But yeah, I thought it was going to be cynical, like the other stuff.
I did read that the director wanted. He said him and his, like his generation, which I guess is ours as well. Him and his generation was so traumatized by the Transformers the movie.
The movie, yes.
To do that in his movie, and I thought, yeah, but you do have.
You got to kill a couple.
Yeah, but, I mean, spoiler again. Megatron does rip fucking Prime that Prime in two.
Yeah.
You know, it has its brutal moments, which did surprise me actually. I mean, not full on every Transformer dies, but
no, but there is, it does go where it needs to go.
I was also annoyed that Jazz didn't sound right.
Yeah.
I mean, Scatman Carruthers is long dead, but
yeah,
they could have, made him. Someone could have done an impression of Scatman Carruthers and done a good job of being Jazz.
Yeah.
But small things aside, I really loved it. I'm surprised at how much.
It's better than the fucking Michael Bay movie. Jazz gets ripped in half. I'm like, what the fuck? It was like the first movie. I'm like, Jazz has just turned up. He was like one of my favorite characters as a kid. You just fucking killed him in the first movie.
My favorites as well.
Like, I think it's like Megatron. I can't really fucking remember that movie. I'm pretty sure it's like just soon after Megatron fucking wakes up, he just rips him in half. I'm like, you fucker! Like,
it's been a while since I've seen the first one.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen any of them apart from this one.
I do enjoy that first one.
Yeah, I remember the first one being fine. Fine. It was pretty good, for what it was. The sequels are all dog shit, but the first one, first one was
Bumblebee, right?
Oh, Bumblebee. Sorry, I don't even class that as one of those movies. That's like a separate thing. Yeah, Bumblebee's the best of the lot.
I mean,
really like that movie.
Gave us the opening 10 minutes of Bumblebee is like
superb. Yeah.
Why did we see this? This is what we wanted for the last 30 years.
Yeah, that I will admit that opening sequence went a long way to healing all wounds when it came to the movie version of Transformers. I was like, yes.
Look like fucking they should do on a Cybertron that looks like it should look.
Yeah, that was great.
And I actually quite like this interpretation of Cybertron as well, actually.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
And the thing is, I think we've complained a lot recently about, different versions of things and multiverses and all that sort of stuff. Yes. But weirdly, I was happy with as this as a version of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it worked a lot.
It worked for me.
It had enough nods to the original that made me very happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it. And I'm glad you did too. Anyway, I think that's it, isn't it? Is that everything?
It is, movie-wise, yeah.
Any news?
So, just a brief one, which we discussed beforehand. Amazon now completely owns the James Bond franchise.
Yeah.
Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, who have basically overseen it for the last, since the 70s, I think, are stepping away. It's going to be now completely Amazon controlled. And I'm slightly worried. Well, not slightly worried, I'm very worried.
I think they're going to shit a film out every year and do spin-offs and run this fucking franchise into the dirt.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I do think, like them or dislike them, I do think Barbara Broccoli and co. always did quality over quantity. I think Amazon will just see this as product and shit one out constantly.
I think they made terrible decisions with the last.
Yeah, totally. But I think they have always been very protective over their franchise, and they were always careful. I think this is going to be franchised into oblivion now. I hope I'm wrong. I just feel like Amazon are just gonna make sure one of these comes out every year, have a spin-off, have a TV show, just, like I said, run it into the ground. I could be wrong, though. We'll see.
Yeah, it's certainly worrying. I think we've all been waiting to see what happens with it anyway, because it's been how long ago was the last Bond movie now, is it?
Fucking ages ago. It came 2019, it was finished.
Was it really?
Yeah, they held on to it for a while, didn't they? I think it came out in the pandemic, right? 2021-ish?
Yeah.
It's been ages, though. That's like pushing the.
And I've not seen that last one. I don't intend to.
I thought the last one, it was not amazing. I thought it was... the ending is so dumb of that movie. So fucking dumb.
I've heard.
But it's like, overall, it was okay. The thing is, I kind of see the Daniel Craig thing as its own thing anyway, so I'm like, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. The good thing about that...
It was very self-contained.
I think you can happily go, that's Daniel Craig's Bond. That can happily go over there and stay fucking over there.
They kind of intentionally do that anyway.
Stuff.
They kind of go out of their way to intentionally do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
To compartmentalize it as its own thing,
Yeah.
I mean, you see him become a 00, so it, and all of that stuff. And tonally, it's like...
all that was handled so badly, though. It was like, we're making him a 00, blah, 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 blah. And then the next movie is like, I'm so tired of being a 00. And you're like, motherfucker,
oh, no, that was Skyfall.
00.
That was Skyfall. He was tired of being a 00 because he was in Quantum of Solace, which was fucking shit.
Yeah.
I think, that's why he was tired. He was like, I'm tired of being in this shit franchise. God, I hated Quantum of Solace so much. Skyfall I liked. The problem with Skyfall, I always said, like, Skyfall was a great movie. I loved the idea of the, like, burnt out Bond who's over the hill and past his prime and time to retire. But you can't then make another movie. You're done. No. That's the last movie. And fine, but that's the last one. And then they went on to do Spectre, and they kind of ignore the fact that he was completely knackered from the last movie. And I'm like, no, like, you're done.
Yep.
So weird.
Yeah, it just doesn't make fucking sense, does it? It's like they just, it's like, no, you've just set this up. You can't do that.
And I liked it. I loved Skyfall personally, but it was like, that's the end of this Bond, though. Like, he's done now.
I think it's the best of his Bond movies.
Yeah, it's that and Casino for sure are the best of his Bond movies.
I mean, the only reason I like Casino is because of Eva Green.
I don't know. Le Chiffre's pretty cool in that movie.
Yeah, he's okay.
He's a good character. Well, obviously, it's Mads Mikkelsen.
I mean, for me, he never. I think Daniel Craig was the wrong fucking choice for Bond anyway. I never
see. I've always looked at
never
it.
Sat well with him being Bond. So
I always look at it, and I think, for me, controversially, one of my favorite Bonds is Timothy Dalton, and whenever I see Daniel Craig, I think they already did this better with Dalton.
Yeah,
that's always my first instinct is like,
he didn't bitch about it all the time either.
License to Kill is like fucking Daniel Craig's Bond 100% done better though.
I think the problem with Dalton's Bond is I just don't think the general public was ready for.
No, they wanted more Roger Moore shit. They just were not ready for that. They were not ready for it.
No,
but I fucking love those two movies. I think they're great.
Yeah. No,
and I love GoldenEye as well. GoldenEye was really good.
Yep. I mean, that's the thing for me as well. Is fucking Craig made me appreciate Brosnan's Bond more.
I liked Brosnan's Bond. He was just in some bad movies.
Slightly creepy.
He is creepy. Yeah.
I think somebody said to me once, "Oh, but Roger Moore's creepy." I'm like, no. Roger Moore's slightly creepy, but fucking charming as fuck.
And I always loved that Roger Moore retired from Bond when he realized he was like, this Bond girl is literally young enough to be my daughter. I need to fucking quit now. Like, this has become weird.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't think Brosnan's Bond had quite the same charm that Moore's does.
Fucking Roger Moore, though. I was watching an interview with Roger Moore, and it could only have been like a year before he died. He was on some talk show, and I'm like, he's still fucking got it though. He's still got that charm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he never lost that charm, man.
He was doing a tour with for fuck's sake, Caroline Munro.
Oh, okay.
I saw him on a thing with Caroline Munro, and he just, you could totally tell she totally digged him. He was so fucking charming, you know. Just this little glint in his like, you know, 80-year-old eye or whatever he was at the time.
Yeah.
He still had it.
Yeah, totally.
He was still a charming bucker.
And I always appreciated, he was very self-deprecating as well, which I always appreciate.
I think that I think is part of his charm, is that
100%.
Roger Moore was always slightly surprised he was where he was.
Yeah, you know? Yeah.
And he was always pretty humble about it.
But like you, I always thought, I was never quite sure with Daniel Craig. I liked those Bond movies clearly more than you did. But I did compartmentalize them like you did. I was like, yeah, it's its own thing, and that's fine. Because I always remember being like really happy when the Mission Impossible movies were like, fuck it, we're just going to be really silly now.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, it's all the fun of Bond that Bond's now missing because Bond's really gone all Bourne Identity, you know?
Yeah.
I missed the fun gadgets and stuff, and then that was what Mission Impossible started doing. But yeah, we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they bring out an absolute banger of a Bond movie. I just worry it's inevitable. All of these things are going to be owned by these horrible, massive conglomerate and companies and whatnot in the end. But
honestly, my biggest wish for this entire franchise is for them just to take it back to the 60s.
Yeah, why not? God, I remember watching that Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie, and I was like, this is fantastic. Why didn't we do this with Bond? Just go back to that era. Because
he's such a man of his time. Bond.
Yeah, he needs to exist in that era for it to work.
Yeah,
for sure.
He works less and less in the modern world.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
And then they have to do, you're a dinosaur. And it's like, oh no, just take it back to the 60s. And then that's the thing, because I always think with stuff like that, is like, if you set it in the 60s, you can then have almost, you set it in the 60s, and then you give him technology from the 80s and 90s. And it's like, he's got the future tech.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, we've seen this tech and we can see that it works, and they've got it in the 60s because they're this super secret spy, you know, so that's cool. Yeah. I'd love to see that. I would love to.
Yeah, because I mean, these days, like, all a spy really does need is a mobile phone, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Phone does like a load of the things that the gadgets he had in the 80s, you know, did.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I actually, funny enough, bought the because I've already got them all on DVD, but I decided to upgrade to Blu-ray because I found one of the Blu-ray box sets really cheap in CEX. And I thought, you know, I actually would like to own these on Blu-ray. And just, I haven't been rewatching all of them, but just like cherry picking a few. Like From Russia with Love. I think we reviewed. I was like, oh, it's so fucking good. But just watching those old movies, you're like, this is so good, so good. And you're right. The more modern you make it, the less it works. The 80s still worked pretty well, but after that, you're like,
by the time you get to Brosnan,
it's too late.
The wheels start coming off a little.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're right. The whole sexist, misogynistic dinosaur thing.
That's where it started. It was the Brosnan era that started.
Works then. When it starts creeping in those like 90s.
Well, that's like one of the first scenes with them in GoldenEye. She's like, you're a misogynist dinosaur.
Yeah. But they already sort of.
And I love that movie, but they do start it right there. She's like, she says it straight to his face, and it's like, okay, that's when you're like, yeah, you're right. He's out of time. He doesn't belong here. Once the Cold War's over, just fucking.
But you don't get the impression. You get the impression that he's been. This is not a new Bond.
No, that's a Bond that's been around a while.
I mean, yes, it's a new Bond in Brosnan. What I mean is, he's not new to the job.
No,
he's been doing this for fucking donkey's years already.
Yeah.
So you it kind of worked with that. With that, I mean, one of the stupidest decisions I think they made with the new with thing was keeping Dench as M.
Yeah, which is weird. She's a great actress and she's great as
she's
M,
great
but it's
She's
weird that
beautiful,
you've got the
but
same one.
She didn't work with what they were setting up for Craig.
And the thing is, as well, especially with the Craig era, they made her look like such a fucking idiot. Like, every fucking movie that she's in, she's like, oh my god, you're this horrible monster. You're a blunt instrument. You're a dinosaur. You're such an asshole. And it's like, you're his boss. Fucking stop using him then. Like, the fuck is wrong with you? You just look really incompetent now. You keep saying he's a piece of shit, but you keep hiring him, so... Yeah, I don't know. And Ralph Fiennes worked really well as M. He was a good M.
He was great.
Yeah.
They should have just fucking used him from the beginning.
That would have been great, yeah. That would have been really good, but...
You know.
But we'll see. Hopefully it'll be fine. I do, like you, I share concerns, though.
Yeah.
Anything else?
The only other thing I saw was the new trailer for Bring Her Back.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet.
Which is the new movie by the guys who made Talk to Me.
Excellent. I loved Talk to Me. I thought it was super.
Yes, which is what made me go, okay, that's, you know, because Talk to Me, after watching that, was like, yeah, I want to see what these guys do next.
Me too. I will definitely watch that trailer when we finish.
Yeah, it's got Sally Phillips, not Sally Phillips, fuck's sake,
someone.
Sally Hawkins.
Ah, okay, it was a Sally.
Yeah. So yeah, really nice, creepy trailer.
Awesome.
Hopefully, we're going to get a nice, a good horror movie out of that one.
I hope so. Talk to Me, I wasn't expecting much from, and I loved that movie.
No, I didn't.
It was really good.
Fucking great. Really impressed with that movie. So yeah, that's kind of it, really. Yes.
Well, there we go. What are we doing next time?
We are doing Captain Kronos.
Oh, we are doing Captain Kronos. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. I wasn't sure, because I know we talked about potentially doing Captain Kronos, but yeah.
No, I think that's a good idea. They've just brought out a...
I know, I kind of want it. It's like 50 quid, but I want it.
Yeah, I was
it's also, really sexy. I was like, oh, that looks really good.
I saw someone unboxing it, and I was like, ooh, so much.
It's a lot of money for one movie, but it looks really cool. And it's got like all the editions and stuff, and it's got the postcards. It's got all the stuff that I like.
I want it. I don't think honestly, I'm not forking out 50 quid for
That's
it.
Basically where I'm at.
I'm not making a bloody money.
No.
And as much as I want it, nope.
I did spend about that much on the Godzilla -1 box set, but that was, that was an addiction. This I don't, I already own Captain Kronos on DVD. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But it does look really nice. If I ever see it, reduced, I will totally buy it.
Yeah. Give it a couple of years.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, great. Well, we will be back next week with Captain Kronos. I'm very excited to review that one. But until then, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next time.